This is really the fighter and the kid.
Come on, baby.
Chin's yelling at us, man.
Yeah, Chin is.
Chin has a full sleeve tattoo. Now he treats us different.
Yeah, he's got a tattoo on his leg, too.
Introduce our guest who doesn't have
Jay Larson,
on his leg.
one of the funniest people on the planet. One of my favorite comics. I remember I saw you the first time. I was like, I go, hold it. I go, what the fuck?
Wait,
I come up to him, I go, you're so good.
Is this
You go,
74?
yeah, he goes, it's about time you fucking noticed. Because I was like, I don't pay attention. I see him on stage.
Brian doesn't pay attention to
murdering.
anything.
No, nothing.
I watch him murder, and I was just like, oh my God. Like,
Were you guys young men at this point? Or
Well, I'm much younger. I'm much younger than
this
Brian.
was 10 years ago?
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah,
Couldn't
it
have
was, probably.
I remember I had Brian. I had this storytelling show. What's up, by the way? Good to see
What's
you
up,
guys.
brother? Good
Thanks
to
for
see
having
you.
me on.
I'm excited for your special, by the way.
Thanks, pal. I appreciate it.
Me being me was the first one, and now we have
Sounds
our
like
last
Bruce.
One. Sounds like Bruce.
Yeah.
Springsteen?
No. So I do a joke about getting a wrong number, which, if you guys did any research for this, you'd know it because it's gotten over 200 million views.
Jesus.
Across many platforms. So
I'd like to watch it. Actually.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just like, I had done it on Laugh Factory, had it on theirs, and it kind of did well. And then Conan, I did it on there, and it did well on Reddit. Went to #1 on Reddit.
Oh, wow.
And then people started claiming that I was stealing from myself because I looked different in each one.
Hilarious.
So I just opened the special on that joke
Love
to
it.
clear the air.
Yeah.
Hey, this is my joke.
This is me. Yeah, that's great.
And sounds like Bruce. So
Love it, man.
I early on when I was doing stand up, I was like 4 years in, I started a storytelling show at the Improv.
That I hijacked.
And the whole point was, hey, I'm going to have 4 comics on. I'm going to throw out topics and they're going to share stories like your first car, like all these different things. It was kind of like the basis of what the Crab Feast came from, right? So I'm doing that, and I was like, hey, it's going to be real stories. And Callan, I mean, there's nothing real. He's got no depth
So
at all.
fighting.
All eyes.
Yeah.
No. So then I would be like, if you could have any job, guys, and Brian's like, what if I was a cop? What if I was a cop and I was in the street and I'm just sitting there going nah, that's not, this isn't what we're
Not
doing.
the show.
But the thing is, he's charismatic.
People loved it.
I didn't realize I had sabotaged the whole fucking
not an
shit.
improv
That wasn't
class.
the point.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought it was all comedy.
And it was Steve Byrne, Brian Callen, Morgan Murphy, and Brody Stevens.
Great
and
cast.
Great. And after the show, people had a good time, and my agents were there. And Brian's like, that was great, huh? I go, dude, you did exactly what I told you not to do. I asked you to not.
But you didn't. I didn't know what you were
will
doing.
never be invited
I
back.
probably didn't even listen to you. I was just like,
he didn't.
I don't know what he's saying.
No.
I'm like, I don't know what he's saying. But I got up there and I was like, a lot of guys, I remember one thing I did, I saw you looking at me and I knew I kind of fucked up because in the middle I go, for me, obviously I bench press, but most of you are forgetting this area of the chest. So you'll always see me on a pec deck. I won't even step into a gym without a pec deck. Jay, who's a pro, is just like, dude, this is not the.
Yeah.
You don't have to do
know what
all
you're
your
doing here.
fucking bits.
I'm trying to
he knows
steer the
what's going
ship.
on.
Yeah.
When I remember, never forget, I had a friend who had an eating disorder, and I said to my mom, I go, hey, listen, when you see her, when people have eating disorders, you never comment about their physical appearance. You just don't say anything.
Yeah.
I go, so don't. She's like, I know, Jason. As soon as my friend gets out of the car, we're sitting in the front. She comes down the driveway. She's like, oh, you look lovely. And I'm just like, what are you doing?
Did we not go over this bitch?
Could I not just tell you? When there are certain people, when they okay, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. I'm
that's
gonna
me.
do it.
Yeah.
It just
That's
comes out of
me.
their
That's
mouth.
me.
Yeah.
That's me. Don't say the N word.
Well, that's like, was it Jeremiah Watkins has that stand up on the spot? And let's say, do not do material. This is 4 new bits. You're going to find new bits. Do not do new material. Sure enough, every show I've ever been on, people before you're like, dude, I've heard you do that bit. What are you doing?
To you?
Man? Oh, no, not to me. Me
right.
and Jeremiah being in the back. He's like, I heard him do that bit in the main room.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what are you doing?
I
dude?
never. I love that show just because I want to get on there and
Great
do
show.
nothing.
Yeah.
Just throw something at me and
Hopefully
then
something
just rip.
sticks. Yeah,
See
that's
what
the
happens.
best. I think people get insecure,
Of
like,
course.
oh, shit.
Well, silence, especially.
Yeah.
Especially, even though you forget, silence means they're listening. That's all that means.
But also that crowd knows that's that.
Oh
you
my
know,
God! Yeah, they're there for it.
Yeah, that's what it is. So
That's it,
it's
bro.
all good, man.
Well,
Have fun.
people like to see you work shit out. They like to see you. Now I do with my stand-up. I always do a section where I go, let's do some improv.
Wait a minute. How long have you been doing? You doing
How long
stand up
have I
now?
been doing stand-up?
Now you're doing it.
Only since
Now you're doing it?
You son of a bitch. 1967.
Wait. Go ahead. So
How old
now,
are you?
Old enough.
But I mean, how much
Younger
older
than
am I?
you.
You're-
Older than me.
56.
I bet. Maybe.
You're 56. No, you're not. Are you really?
An old man.
Are you and Rogan the same age, or is Rogan 55?
He's 56 now, I think.
Yeah, he's gonna be 60 in 4 years.
Yeah, I'll be
So will he.
60 in less than 4 years. That's who you're friends with, buddy.
When's your birthday?
Hell yeah.
January 26th.
Oh, wow. You're an Aquarius?
Yeah.
Me too.
Aquaria, you are?
Yeah.
When's your
February
birthday?
3rd, baby.
There you go.
Oh damn.
What are you, like July or something?
You 50 yet?
March.
You 50
March
yet?
what?
Pisces.
I know. I can't fuck with female Pisces. Dudes, yeah. But women, yeah, I can't. Sorry. I appreciate you.
Scorpio.
Are you one of those guys that asks what sign you are and then
I
figure
do
it out?
now.
Really?
Yeah. Well, now that I look at my track record,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're
My
like, oh,
record?
high school girlfriend, Pisces, crash and burn. College girlfriend, crash and burn. Girlfriend when I was living in Venice, crash and burn. Ex-wife, crash and burn. Mother, that's all you need to know. All you need to know. If your
Mother.
mom was this, don't go
Avoid
for it
that.
anywhere else.
Is that right?
That's
Makes-
my-
My mom's into that shit. All that stuff.
I've
Like when I was
never-
in high school, she'd be like, "What sign?" I'm like Scorpio. It's like, run. I'm like, all right, mom.
Yeah, well,
Trying to get my
Yeah, I
dick
heard
wet.
that
Certain-
Scorpios and Pisces are very sexual, and I will say, but I don't think there's any science to it. But
Those
I
are
knew
facts.
one girl
Those
who
are
was
facts.
super sexual, and she was a Scorpio, and then she was talking to her friend, and she was like, "Yeah, we're Scorpios, we're sexy," and I go, "Okay." Then and now when I hear a woman is Scorpio, I get turned on.
you know what? None of these things matter because that's like saying, "Oh yeah, we're Scorpios, we're circular," and then
Right.
but these people might be square. So there, it doesn't matter how sexual you are if you don't fit with the other
Yeah, if you don't-
the sign. It doesn't matter. You know
Also,
what
I feel
mean?
like girls are saying that because it gives them reason to be sleuths, right?
Salute.
I'm a Scorpio. It's in my nature. It's like, no, you don't have to suck
best.
all the dick, right?
or you
do
can.
or you,
Or you
know,
can do.
whatever
You,
you wanna
you are
do.
a Scorpio.
or you can, and I'll move you into my house. You know what I'm saying?
Trying to pay your bills. If
I don't
you're
want a
Scorpio.
fucking virgin. Boring. I want a sketchy sexual past.
Hey, dude, at your age, yeah.
I'll take whatever I can get.
Well, you can't go near virgins. You know what I mean? Like it's probably
Frowned upon.
It's
I'm a
probably
little
not
old.
going to be a
Well,
good.
I'm a little,
Unless you're the Dalai Lama.
well, when you're 56, you don't even look at younger women. You don't even look at them. You don't flirt with them because you get to a point where,
you don't want to get canceled.
well,
There's that too.
Well, no, but you get to a certain point when you're a certain age where you realize they stop looking at you that way. Like it happened right at 50, I think.
Oh, you're the chick that used to be hot, the chunky chick. You're walking by the construction
Just an old
workers.
guy.
No more
You're-
tat calls.
You're an old man. There are women that like older men, but for the most part, you're
oh no, you're
not-
daddy now.
Yeah.
For the young girls, you're daddy.
Yeah, but
which can be cool.
might be grandpa. You know, like you get to
No,
a point
you're not
where it
grandpa
was
yet.
no.
You
but-
just got to do the math, okay? Like
Yeah.
at 56, young. First of all, you're married anyway, so
Yeah.
it's a moot point.
It
but
is, yeah.
Hypothetical.
you know what I mean? If you're going to look hypothetically, if you're older, you got to have they call it dating age appropriate. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like I'm 47. I'm 47. You know what I mean? So some people might
You're 10
think,
years younger than me, practically.
yeah. Some
Now,
people might think
we look
age.
the same age, but keep going.
What's that?
We look the same age. Keep going.
I mean, dude.
Come on, don't do them like that.
Put a ball hat on, yeah, maybe. In at night, like at a ball
Jay.
game, good angle.
Jay,
in a
Yeah.
cave.
Jay, I don't like the way this podcast is
I'll tell you
going.
right now, if I look the way you look at your age, I'm going to be a lucky man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for 56, he looks good.
He's a good-looking guy.
For
Good
56,
shape. Always
yeah.
been in good
I
shape.
do my
Skinny,
best. I
thin.
do my
Too
best.
much. Yeah, maybe
Thin.
too
Yeah,
skinny
too
for
much.
me.
A little too skinny.
But
But you're the only single one here. Is the single life now weird for you?
it's not weird.
Like, are you
It's-
jumping on dating apps?
I'm on one app, yeah. I do one app. And
How's that life?
it's different, you know, it's different. You know, it's like, first of all, I have 2 kids. I have them 50% of the time, right? So when I have them in 3 years, I've got a babysitter 10 times in 3 years because I'm like, I want to be there. I
Yeah.
want to be there for bed.
Good for
Not
you.
only bed, I want to be able at 9:30 to go in and just see what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
where are they sleeping? What do they got?
Yeah.
And then I give them a little nudge and talk some shit to see what they'll do, you know? So it's like someone's got to be cool with the fact that you have kids, and it's like their schedule needs to line up with your schedule. I also have to work. You know, it's a tricky situation.
But if you're dating age appropriate, I'm sure they might have kids or they should be used to it.
Yeah, there's
Right?
a lot of women I've dated with kids. I've found that divorced women, they're like,
They're like Scorpios.
let's get down.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out. What's the time? When? I'll be there. Let's get down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think for me, age appropriate needs to be they have to be at least like 34. Anything younger than that is
Well,
just like,
30's
what do you-
fine. 30's fine.
No.
It's a full-grown woman.
not for me. I mean,
What are you gonna have in common with like a 25-year-old?
well,
well,
that,
nothing.
Like, what the fuck are you gonna talk about?
Nothing. They
But that-
need to be the most like evolved human being. But normally when you're someone at 25 is into someone at 47, there's something
Daddy-ish.
There's something going on.
That's not as
Scorpios.
uncommon as you think. I just think I don't want to be
it's
that guy. Like you don't want to be the guy. Like it's more like you don't want to be that guy. It's just.
Unless you're Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Because even I see him, I'm not like, oh, that's
He's 15
creepy. I'm
with
like, that's
23
Leonardo
No.
DiCaprio.
It's going to take a unique person or woman
Real outlier.
to be, even at like 32, to want to be with someone who's in their mid 40s with kids. They're going to have to be like a unique person. It's like, hey, I really don't want kids. I think you're a great person and I've evolved. Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
I think it all just comes down to the person anyway.
I do too. I think sometimes it's for the most part, if you have a fully realized person, they can be 30. It depends on how they live their life.
Yeah.
A lot of it's like if a woman's gone through a lot of shit, had a job.
Or if she has her shit together. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
what-
They
yeah.
have like their shit together. They have a career. They know what they want to do. You're talking about different
and they
animals.
know who they are.
They don't want to play any games.
And they're emotionally evolved.
And they also don't want to deal with younger men. Sometimes they prefer an older man.
Bro.
You see that. There's more stability.
Yeah, for sure.
I just can't imagine like you going on these dates off whatever app you're using, like coming up with date ideas and shit.
Oh, I'm a dad, dude. I got great date ideas. Usually it's,
So
I don't like,
Dave and Buster's and shit.
Give me an example of great idea.
I just go to a nice restaurant. Like I need to get to know someone, but then like a good second date for me is like, let's go to a play. It tells me early on, are you into art and culture? Are you going to want to do that? Let's go to a museum. Those are the kind of things I like to get down on.
That's great.
And then, there's only one woman I've dated for a long time throughout these 3 years, which was like 9 months. And we would do like weekend trip to Ojai, you know what I
That'd be
mean?
cool.
We would go to cool places, like explore together, go for bike rides. I got her a bike for Mother's Day, you know?
Jay sounds like a good time.
Jay sounds like a good time.
It's not that hard. Let me just tell you one thing. If you're single out there, all women want is for you to make a plan at a time and a date and tell them where to be. That's
And be
all
nice.
they want.
And be nice.
Well, I mean, dude,
That's a given,
that's
right?
a given.
You're
Be
old
nice,
school
be
Boston.
courteous,
That's what I like about you.
you know.
You're old school Irish Boston.
Yeah.
Let's take a little break because the NBA playoffs are here, and you know this. My Denver Nuggets are the number one seed. They won
Denver
their first
Nuggets
game in the
are
Western
number one?
Conference.
I love
Yeah,
the
dude.
Nuggets.
Jokic should be MVP, but they're going to screw him over and give it to Embiid. Not a big deal. I'm not bitter at all. But listen, the NBA playoffs is here, and it's time to make some bank, bro, with DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Get in on the excitement of every game with a touch of a button. New customers can bet $5 pregame moneyline bet. Score $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Plus, everyone can score a no-sweat same-game parlay every day during the NBA playoffs. Open the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, place your same-game parlay on any NBA game. If it doesn't hit, you'll get a bonus bet back up to 10 buckaroos. Again, Lakers aren't bad right now against Memphis. They won the first game. If AD stays healthy, bet big on Lakers. Sacramento's a fun series. You got the Knicks is fun to bet on. Celtics are always good. They're going to get out of the first round. You got Milwaukee. I'm taking my freaking Nuggets all day over the Suns if they get to the Western Conference Finals. Either way, download the app now. Sign up with the code FIGHTER. New customers can bet $5 pregame moneyline bet and score $150 in bonus bets if their team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with the code FIGHTER.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelpstopline.com.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. And in Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 and over is in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions require. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, look, I grew up in a family where therapy was considered to be taboo,
A weakness.
and all that stuff. You get older and you realize
Back in the day, that was right, but not anymore. Now
Well,
it's okay to talk about
you
it.
get older and you realize you don't know your own brain sometimes. You don't know the source of your anxiety, the source of your depression, the source of your angst or whatever it might be.
Also, your family and friends might not have the answer.
Because
Turns out they're not professionals.
They're not licensed professionals.
So if I wanted to find one, Brian,
BetterHelp.
do I have to go into an office?
You don't have to go into an office. You don't have to spend that much money. You can. There's a cheaper option that's just as good. BetterHelp is basically an app where you can be paired up with a licensed therapist in as little as 48 hours, and you are off and running. You've got somebody you can actually talk to. You can switch therapists if that one doesn't work for you. You've got a number of them.
No additional charge. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. All right, discover your potential with BetterHelp.
It's entirely online.
Visit BetterHelp.com/fighter today. Get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp.
You're old school Irish Boston.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's a real thing. You grow up, if you're Irish in Boston, you grow up with a very, very clear sense of what is okay, what's not okay, what is allowed, what's not allowed, how a man behaves, and how a man doesn't behave.
Is it still that way in Boston now?
Fuck yes.
Is it
Among
still
the
that way?
Irish, you get smacked in the head.
I mean, I would think. I really don't know.
TikTok didn't ruin that.
I mean, who knows? I don't, my friends, everyone I grew up around, their kids are amazing kids. But I can't get over how great my friends
Would you ever
kids
go
are.
back to Boston?
I would love to, but it's probably not going to happen at this point.
Yeah. with
Well,
the
when you're
kiddos
divorced
out
with
there. Yeah,
kids, it's like I want to be close. I live 8 minutes from my ex, you know what I
That's
mean?
great.
So like I have her over for dinner. She comes over all the time. I have
awesome.
a key to her house. You know what I mean?
great.
Like it's
This is a weird segue to Boston. You see the new documentary on the Boston bombers on Netflix?
No.
Oh, it's good. I know my shit on that stuff. I love that stuff.
Why is that?
I watched on the
the
plane to
marathon
Atlanta.
just happened today.
Yeah, the marathon's
Oh,
today.
yeah.
That's probably why they released it on Friday.
The woman who won it is their second marathon she's ever run.
What?
Jesus.
She won it
Is
today.
she from Kenya?
Yeah, well, she runs the 5,000 meter, and this is the second marathon she's ever run, and it was like a small pack with a mile left, and she just boop.
So there's a highland area of Kenya. I think it's about
Bring up that doc
5
for
million
me,
people
kid.
live. 5.5 million or less. And that is where the people there's a genetic anomaly in that group.
They're good at running.
The way they're physically built, they can run farther than anybody.
My son's pretty good at running.
This guy was a cab driver. He was driving a cab. Within a year, he broke the world record. He'd never run before. He was Kenyan. He got out of his car and he just
Horrible cab driver though.
Yeah,
Terrible
terrible.
Cab was,
cab-
he
terrible
took
cab
forever.
driver.
Yeah.
Not a
Also,
good cab
also, I wish they'd keep it. You have to be from Boston in order to run the race. I want to see who the best runner in Boston is.
You know, there was a woman who ran the Boston Marathon one year, and she like dipped out at mile 6, hopped on the subway,
Yeah.
and came back in and won it. You know? Yeah.
Where are you from in Boston?
Stoneham, Mass, 15 minutes north.
Yep.
That documentary is great because it had shit in there because it has like citizens videos of the like when they're in the shootout on the streets in Waterfront or Watertown.
One of them died,
Watertown.
right?
Yeah, Watertown. Oh well, one of them died because they're in a shootout and they have the shootout. They have the footage of the shootout, bro.
Jesus.
It's the cops shot over 200 bullets.
There's a footage of it?
The doc has actual footage
I
of
gotta
it.
watch this.
Dude, they're throwing bombs at the cops. That's what gave them away. They just thought it was two kids that stole a car because they jacked the car with a guy in it. No, he had a stolen car. They didn't know it was the Boston Marathon bombers.
Shit.
And then once they start throwing bombs, they're like, these are the fucking guys. So they're throwing the bombs. The younger brother gets in the car. His brother runs out of ammo, and he's, I'll get to his brother in a second. His brother starts, and they saw on video, his brother just starts power walking towards the cops, going, come on, come on. Of course, they're like, get down, get down. The little brother gets in the car, runs his older brother over, kills him
Why?
just to get away. Because his brother was basically doing suicide by cop. And his brother's like, fuck it, he's in the way, runs over him, gets away, hides in a boat, like a block
right,
away,
yeah.
hides in a boat. But here's what's crazy. The older brother, he started being compromised going back to Dagestan. And this is what's weird. There's a coach on
Was he
this.
Checheni or Dagestani?
Dagestani. But there's a coach on there in Boston because his older brother was a very good amateur boxer. His whole goal, his father brought him to America to fight in the Olympics for America.
Damn.
But the Olympics changed the rules. The year, it had
Right.
nothing to do with him, but he thought it was racism towards Muslims. So that's when he became compromised because he's like, oh, the Olympic Committee hates Muslims. America hates Muslims. No, dude. You have to be from America, born in America, to fight for the U.S. team. That's all it is. But he thought it was like towards him, so that compromised him. But the coach is talking on there, and I'm watching, I'm playing like, I know that fucking guy from somewhere. I trained with him in Boston when I was there for the expo.
No.
Yeah, I trained at his gym. Yeah.
Wow.
With his
Yeah,
coach,
weird.
you mean?
With the coach.
Oh, my God.
And then his coach, I think, coached against me when I fought Gabriel Gonzaga because Gabriel trained in Boston. And I was like, that's how I fucking know that guy.
I did. I performed at Auburn University the day of the bombing. The day of it.
Really?
And I did I was doing an hour for these kids, and after like 45 minutes, I go, hey, do you guys just want to talk about what happened today? and like I sat on the edge of the stage and just like what are you feeling? Like what are you going through?
You know what's interesting? Like obviously it's it's an American staple. The Boston Marathon's massive. It's like it's as American as it gets in Boston. What it represents. But 4 people died in that. It's weird to me, like what we get, what the media gravitates towards. Often they gravitate towards that, but it's like Louisville, Kentucky had 2 mass shootings. More people died in that than this.
Yeah.
Like the mass shooting in Chicago, just today, more people can get
dead.
shot
Yeah.
and die than the Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
Now they're all important. It's just weird. Like this has a doc. Obviously, it's a good, it's a narrative people can run on.
Well, when you look at terrorism, right? It was Muslim terrorism.
It was
versus,
terrorism. And kids in my town got affected. One dude lost his leg.
Oh, it's awful.
I remember when Bill Maher, terrorism was after 9/11, and terrorism was the biggest thing. I think it was politically correct on HBO, but he said something that was so true. He said, "Man, Americans, we're all worried about terrorism. It's definitely a problem, but that's not what's going to kill you. What's going to kill you probably, and I hate to tell you guys, is your diet." Yeah. All that corn syrup.
You said that like the next day after?
No.
Not trying to hear that.
No, it was about a year later. But he said,
it's different. But.
He was just like, the enemy is usually not as sexy. The enemy is
But we
usually,
can control that, right?
Right, it's in your fridge. This we can't,
but that's scary because we can't control that.
That's right.
We can't control that
And
at all.
fear sells, fear sells.
That's it.
Yes. So. Got me.
Yeah.
Terrified of everything. Yeah. Got me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing's interesting, and then the little brother, right? He gets apprehended after like 5 days, one of the biggest manhunts in U.S. history. He gets apprehended, and the defense goes, "Well, he looked so much up to his older brother, like that was his idol. He was forced to do it. Boy, did they eat him alive because they have him There's no one telling him to. He sets a backpack down next to a family with a kid. That kid dies. He's an 8-year-old kid got blown up, and they're like, nobody told you to do that." Then they show him, and this is on the doc, they show him after the bombing going to like a 7-Eleven. He's like joking around, like buying candy and fucking sodas. Like this kid's a fucking sociopath, man.
How old is the kid now? Still in jail?
Oh, he got outbrined. Of course he's in fucking jail. He's the Boston Marathon bomber. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he's
a maximum.
I don't think there's a death penalty in Massachusetts.
See, but that's on the doc. It said he tried to appeal it because he got he got life sentence. They appealed it, and I think they gave him the death penalty. I think.
He got his own Wikipedia page.
What's interesting about this kid? What's interesting about this kid too? Super popular in like his friends when they said it might be him, they're like, no, there's no way. Super popular, captain of the wrestling team, like had his shit together. Was going to college. Like it was just a normal dude.
Yeah,
like super popular too.
Damn.
A plea deal failed when the government refused to rule out the possibility of death penalty.
Apparently, because his brother was like the mastermind.
The charges of usage of a weapon of mass destruction resulted in death, in addition to aiding and abetting, eligible for the death penalty. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he's getting the death penalty.
It's crazy. Yeah, horrible thing.
He got life.
Yeah, the jury recommended death penalty. There you go. The court reversed the First Circuit's decision reinstating the death penalty. Yeah, he's on death row now.
Okay. Well.
And I'm pretty sure, is he stationed in Colorado where Gotti was at? He's in like maximum security. He's fucked.
Damn, man.
Rightfully so. Yeah, Colorado. There you go.
Those parents, they move your kids. They do everything for them. You're boxing. You're in the cabinet wrestling team.
Yeah, we don't know that.
No, the parents weren't cool about it.
You don't know this.
The parents weren't cool about it.
They weren't?
No, they're like, that's not our son. Those aren't. Even
no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, what Brian's saying is they went to this great extent to give these kids something, and this is what they turned into.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There's got to be a gap there.
That's what the mom and dad said. So the dad was super like strict on him because he wanted to do a fight for the Olympic team and then turn professional. Yeah. So his dad wanted to be a boxer. They made it seem like America was against him, so that compromised him. But it's weird because his dad escaped refugee. Like his grandpa was blown up in war over there, and then his family.
Just think about those parents. You lose both your sons in one day. Like you lose them both.
You probably take on the guilt of all those people that were affected by the bombing,
all of it.
Then the shrapnel effect of how it affects people around that community. Yeah, it's terrible.
They even have
no positive in.
They have the head Muslim guy on there, and he's like, it's like it fucks us. He didn't say that. That's my words, but he was like, it fucks the rest of the Muslim community because we just got over 9/11, and when that guy saying that, he goes, when I saw him, like, please don't be Muslim. Dear God, please don't. And that kid would attend his church.
Damn it.
He would attend his mosque.
Mosque, yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
The biggest piece of shit is the older brother's girlfriend.
Why?
Because she knew about it. And she
did?
refused to speak to the to help out the U.S. government when they're on the run. And they know she was aware of it and everything, but they couldn't bring the charges on her. Biggest piece of shit. And she's just some American dumbass.
That's too bad. Wow. Chill vibes though, guys. I love that. I love what we're getting into.
Oh, yeah.
I
So
mean,
tell us about your
it's,
special.
Yeah. So great. Let's talk about it.
She's
Isn't that
cute.
crazy? That documentary is fucking great, though. It's really, really good.
Unbelievable.
Are you in any shows right now? Besides Boston Marathon?
No, I got into shrinking a little bit. I started shrinking. Have you guys watched that at all?
No,
Apple
but I
Plus.
heard about it.
With Harrison Ford and
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
He plays a shrink.
yeah, him and Jason Segel.
I never liked shrink shows. I don't know why.
This is different. I don't know. I like it, but there's nothing that I'm like crazy on right now.
Did you see the one with, what's the fucking face? He's in Anchorman. He's also Gru.
Oh, Steve Carell.
Steve Carell.
Oh.
See him, and he's a shrink, and he's working with a serial killer.
Yeah, I've
serial
heard
killer
about it. Yeah,
kidnaps
I
him.
haven't
Oh,
seen it.
it's good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's fucking
I
good.
gotta see that.
I love
was
Steve
just thinking
Carell.
about
It's
that.
great.
What happened? They didn't do a. Was it just a one-off thing?
Well, no,
Like
you
a-
can't do a season 2 on it.
Okay.
No. You'll see the ending, but
Yeah, I
you can't
gotta
do a
see it.
season
So it's
2.
got that kind of like true
patient-
detective
the patient.
idea that it's just like you
Well,
run a season.
he's like
on it.
he's like the head, like the best, therapist in the town. The serial killer comes to him, but he
Got
can't
it.
tell him everything he's doing. He just wants to help him, and he makes a connection with him, and then he's like, in order for me to actually get help, I got to tell you that I'm a serial killer. So he kidnaps him, puts him in his basement. He's like, I'm gonna let you go once you help me like figure my life out.
Oh wow, that's wild.
And then he's killing people while he's helping them out. It's nuts.
God
And Steve Carell's constantly trying to get away.
All right, let's
Yeah, I'll ruin it for you.
You know what I mean? What
No,
if I
I'm
want to
spo-
see it?
It's
Is
not
there
really-
any
I wanna see
opportunity for me to see these
No,
things?
It's been out too long.
No, I got to see it though. I got to see it. Don't. No, I'm definitely gonna watch it. I need a show.
I haven't had a chance. But by the time I get my kids to bed, it's like when they're finally asleep, it's like 8:30. And I usually go to bed by like 10:30. And then I gotta like do some dishes or I gotta put the laundry on.
So you have like one episode maybe of something?
Maybe, you know what I mean? And then I get up in the
asleep.
morning and I'll like do my meditation, get my day going, get them off to school, and then it's like, all right, let's get work going. You know what I mean?
You meditate?
Yeah, I do TM.
Yeah.
Yeah, do
what
you?
does that mean?
Was that
Transcendental.
Transcendental meditation.
But what does that mean? How do you? What?
Well,
what do you-
TM is you basically you meditate twice a day, 20 minutes each time, and for me, it's giving your brain an opportunity to have its own thoughts and do whatever it wants for 20 minutes. You know, that's one of the greatest things I was able to teach my kids that I never knew. My son said something to me one day, and I go, listen, one thing I want you both to understand. I go, your brain is separate from you. Your brain is its own thing. It's not you. Your brain can have thoughts. Doesn't mean those are your thoughts. That's your brain's thoughts. I go, now it's how you act upon what your brain thinks that matters who you are. And then I explain to them, like my kids know I meditate. They'll come in while I'm meditating. And I explain to them, I go, this is my opportunity to give my brain time to do what it wants so that I can focus when I need my brain.
That's interesting.
I want to play this. I want to get your take on this. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Well, that was it.
Yeah,
No,
that's
but
it.
I mean,
What would you- I mean, do you want to do a follow-up question and then I can talk further, Brian? Or
Brian's okay. Can we meditate for 20 minutes?
no,
on
I
this
saw
podcast?
something I liked.
Just destroy the
about that.
viewership.
No, I saw something I liked. Did I play that for you? That Muji thing? You know Muji?
Muji?
Yeah.
No.
Who is he?
I'm too old to get taken by anything, and it's a simple
I
thing.
doubt that.
Is it an app?
No. He's a Vedanta teacher. He teaches. It's really
Dude,
short.
are you speaking English right now?
Yeah.
Guided meditation with Muji.
Mugaku.
And I like him.
Mugaku.
I think the thing that's interesting about meditation, there's all different methods, there's all different formulas,
Whatever
there's all
works for
different, I like, put it this way, I was a David Lynch fan, and I'm like, he's huge into TM. Seinfeld started TM when he was 17.
Worked out for him.
Yeah. And so I liked the premise behind it of like giving my brain an opportunity to do what my brain wants to do.
It's tough to find 20 minutes with kids, though.
It's not.
guess
Well, you
after-
can
after
do
they
it
go-
Dude,
while-
listen to all the shit you just told me you watched in the last, I don't know, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. Once you just make it a priority and you're like,
most of it's on a flight or at night.
oh yeah,
When I put
is a good
flights
place.
is easy.
See, this is the thing. I was just on a flight and I just, you know what I do? I'm like, I want to watch something I already know. That's my biggest problem. I like the comfort of watching something I like.
I'm similar, but if it like I only watch like murder crime shit.
Yeah.
Like I love serial killer stuff. With the Boston Marathon, I know about it.
Yeah.
So I'm the same
You
way.
want to know more.
I have a routine. I know I know the story. So even if I doze off, I can pick up. I'm not lost.
Yeah.
Don't play that super boring thing.
Couldn't find it.
Thank God.
No, it's not boring actually.
That would have
It's
been cool.
interesting.
Dude, give us the recap of it.
Well, he says something to the effect of
Mugako?
be a witness to, stop trying to be a traffic policeman in your own mind. Just let it run and be a witness to it.
Well, that's a giant part of like most people nowadays in if you look at anything in the addiction space, whether it's booze, drugs, sex, spending money, food, most people which is like why the everyone kid gets a trophy idea is that like we don't allow ourselves nowadays enough time to sit in uncomfortability. We don't allow ourselves time to just have thoughts that might not agree with what we want. And I think a lot of times it's like people need to get comfortable with that. Just like kids need to get comfortable with losing. They also need to get comfortable with the idea of things that aren't just going to be the best. That's why I can't stand dog owners nowadays. Remember when you were a kid, dogs weren't even allowed on a couch. Now people bring them everywhere. They sleep with them. It's
On
like,
flights
hey,
and
you
shit.
don't need to get love from an animal 24 hours a day. My sister's dog, if you weren't holding it, it'd be like, I'm like,
not
what did you
good.
do to this poor animal?
Yeah.
You got it believing that it needs to get
Codependent.
held
Yeah.
24. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, but I think that what I'm getting better at is getting very, like, so no matter what's going on, right? Stress, anger, anxiety, whatever it might be, I'm getting very, very good at literally kind of just stepping back and watching it, getting really interested in it. Like I'll literally interpret the raw data of it. So I go, like I'll go deeply into what it's actually doing physically to my body.
100%.
And when you do that, what's fascinating is it goes away. Like
Well,
you
yeah,
actually,
you're acknowledging it.
well, I'm also just a witness to it.
Yeah.
So after a while, you start
not
to realize
suppressing it.
that your life, in many ways, like this is profound. But think about it. This is kind of how you can meditate when you're going through your life. Your life is basically a movie. There's somebody watching this, and it's not you. The most profound question somebody asked, I think it was Sam Harris, who said, but it's a Vedanta question. Where are you? Do this exercise. Where are you right now? Like, where are you watching me from? Think about that. But really think about it.
What do you mean?
Where do you start and where do you end? You. Are you behind your face? So you're watching me right now.
Yeah, you know what's a great point? Because I love where you're going with this. Because I've often said, like, as I'm sitting here looking at you right now, I'm like, what is he seeing? What are you looking at? I don't know what my face looks right now.
Yeah.
I know what yours looks like,
Yeah.
but I don't know what you're looking back at me. And when I walk into a room of people, I never take the time because you're in the present and I'm looking out. What is everyone seeing at me? You know what I mean? Especially since, like you
Where
can
are they
case
seeing
build.
it from?
I see from right here. This is where I'm seeing.
Yeah, but is that where you are?
I'm
Like-
present right now. I've read this great thing that people, 80, like, I think it's something like 85% of your brain lives in nostalgia. It lives in the past. But like, I saw this great Alan Watts quote the other day that there's no past, there's no future. There's only this second. Like, this second is the only thing that exists. All that happened, it hasn't happened yet.
That's where
This is it.
anxiety comes from.
Anxiety, you build so
the
much of it
future.
up. That's why I love the idea of you just sit back and can watch your own life, because you don't so often don't.
Well, your brain, what I think is interesting is your brain can actually be a witness to everything you're going through. So you can be going through the craziest shit. Your brain, you can watch, there's a part of your brain that can watch anything that's going on with you. The pain you're in, you could be on fire and your brain could be watching it.
For sure.
So when you see those monks that light themselves on fire in protest and they don't make a sound, they just roll over and die. They have literally detached from what you would consider yourself, and they're able to watch themselves burn.
Insane.
That's insane.
That's another level.
It's another level. But
Yeah,
that's,
of course. It's like
a shame
200
they
other
put
levels.
themselves on fire.
well,
right?
that would be
Just give us the
protest of Vietnam
secrets.
War.
Yeah.
But everybody watched that, and what was fascinating was they went, that guy didn't move. He didn't scream. He just expired and fell over. Like, the motherfucker
And the
was
war
watching
continued.
himself. He was watching himself.
And the war continued.
But I'm
Way to
talking
go,
about
fellas.
it. I'm talking
Yeah,
about
I know.
it. Yeah. That reminded me of something I was trying to think of what the fuck.
You can't stop wars anyway, bro.
No control.
It's 2023. In
Yourself
2022,
on
Russia
fire.
was like, yo, we're gonna go bomb this country. We're gonna go and we're gonna do this, and the whole world was like, man, I guess we'll just watch.
They don't want to get involved.
Yeah, no, but it's just like it's crazy.
I mean, we are involved. The question is,
when do we want to get involved? Oh, we'll get involved later, and we'll just give
Well,
you
we're
7
involved.
billion.
We're involved more than we think.
yeah.
That's a whole nother road.
And are we losing or are we winning? Who did the
Well,
leak?
I mean,
Did you see that thing I sent to our group chat?
yeah. Tell the people what you sent. Right?
Yeah. It was pretty interesting. Wait, I just remembered what I wanted.
For you to recap, Brian sent a text. that was 7 pages long.
Here's what's cool.
like,
Did you see Ethan Hawke when Steve Colbert asked? He goes, Ethan Hawke, what happens when we die? It's his question. It's a question. He goes, what happens when we die? Bring up Ethan Hawke's answer. It's pretty cool.
It was awesome.
you see it?
Yeah, I definitely saw it.
I fucking love
Do you
it.
do in the robot voice?
No, it's like you go Ethan Hawke, who I've been a fan of for a long time.
I'll just play the audio.
Yeah, that's it's the short one.
You can,
Ethan Hawke.
yeah.
Hawke, what do you think happens when we die?
You ready? I don't think we die. I don't think that we have an understanding of the divine concept of time. I don't think we're any more capable of understanding.
This is on The Late Show?
And I think something much bigger is going on than we're aware of in our day-to-day routines. So I don't think I have the intelligence or the DNA makeup to answer that question.
Now, real quick, I thought you were saying Stephen Hawke.
No. Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, the actor? Yeah, okay.
It's Stephen Colbert,
Make a
probably.
Purge 7, bitch. No, but the thing is, I thought you were talking about Stephen Hawkins. That's why I said, do you do in the robot voice? You're like, no. I thought you were talking about Stephen
hilarious.
Hawkins. Because he gets asked the same shit.
so funny.
I thought it was Stephen Hawkins.
I don't think physicists come any closer than that, than
Ethan Hawke?
else. Yeah, I don't.
The guy from Purge?
I don't. I think the point is
Dude,
that
the guy from Dead Poets Society.
I ever tell
The
you
guy from Training Day.
I ever tell you the guy
I watched
who's-
it on the plane.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah, he got it.
But I tell you, that the
Denzel,
theoretical mathematician who answered one of the great theorems, like one of the questions of the century, it's like a mathematical question. His name is, I did a podcast with him. It was like, I couldn't understand it. He goes, well, we mathematicians and physicists don't believe there's actually a thing called time. I go, what? He goes, it's a relationship between two mathematical bodies, but there's not time the way you would think is like you get older. It's not, that's not what's going on. Care to expand? And then he went into
You can't. I mean, did you ever do senior advanced math in high school? I mean, how far did you get in math?
nightmare.
Remember when numbers stopped coming to a correct number that
Bro.
just continued? I was like,
I'm out.
I'm out. Do
So
it,
that
man.
the Russian guy won the Fields Medal in math. He goes, they're like, how should we teach math? He goes, well, the way you guys think of math, what you think of math is it'd be like the way you're taught math in school would be like, we're going to teach you art. And the way you're going to teach art is you're going to paint this fence over and over again. People are like, I don't like painting a fence over and over again. It's fucking bullshit. He goes, that's exactly how they teach math. He goes, math has nothing to do with that.
Interesting.
It has, he goes, it has everything to do with the world of forms. It's the most beautiful language in the world.
Did you do a debate with Alex Jones this past weekend?
Yes, I was.
Austin?
How'd you know that? Yeah, I was.
do you mean I know? We're friends.
Right. It was me, Alex Jones.
Fuck.
I know.
He's doing
post
for the-
about it?
He's doing the sake of the podcast.
I didn't, but I like to be dramatic because
How? The good question.
I had I had Destiny on one side of me, who is the streamer, the left wing streamer, who's really popular, very smart, keeps the right very honest.
Chick?
No, guy.
His name's Destiny?
Yeah, Destiny's Steven, but
He doesn't sing?
his streaming name is Destiny. Smart guy.
Only 34, too.
Oh yeah, dude. And
Oh, no, he looks smart.
and will take it to you. By the way, he and Alex Jones, I had to get, there's a thing about it because I had to get in the middle of them. I was like, whoa.
What
I
was
go,
Alex-
Alex, let him finish his sentence.
Alex a big dude.
Alex over here. He's giant and he's over here. I agree with Alex in general.
What was the
but he's just so
subject?
theatrical.
Well, that's
it was
what
about
makes
free
Alex so
speech.
good.
It was a really, I was in over my head, bro. I got there. They invited me. It was about free speech on
Daddy
the
didn't
internet.
do
Bro,
his
you've been
homework.
in over your head here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am. I'm always in over my head.
See,
with you guys.
you're not using your vision. You're using your brain.
Well, it was about the Twitter files, and it was about. But there was a free speech constitutional lawyer. There's another guy. These people live and breathe it. Alex Jones,
But
Destiny.
we know they released those Twitter leaks to get more, to cut down on more freedom of speech. That's the agenda.
I think Elon Musk wanted to release them to show you how biased this organization was. But
Keep going.
But what was fascinating was the question came to this, and I kind of learned something. And Alex Jones, I got to say, The man said something that at the end of the day, so here's my question to you guys. Is there any case to censor information, malinformation, disinformation?
Yeah, Al-Qaeda, domestic terrorism, they're trying to spread that, give information, recruit people.
So you
That
would
stuff
you would
yes,
censor that? Because we don't
100%.
censor it necessarily.
We should, though.
We do. Okay, we
If
should.
If it can hurt Americans physically, we should censor
What
it.
about racism? I'm asking you.
But the problem, see, my thing is racism can lead to that stuff, but if you can shut down domestic terrorism or even international terrorism that's going to hurt Americans, we shouldn't allow them to have a platform. When it comes to racism, that opens up a whole lot of doors, because I think there's racism where it's clear as day, right? Using the N-word.
So let me ask you, let me rephrase the question.
Yeah, get that shit out of there. But at what point do you say, all right, well, we stop it here?
So let
'Cause
me
then it leaks over into other
rephrase, Bubba.
shit.
Let me rephrase the question. Everybody agreed on that panel that anything illegal is it should not be allowed, right? So
With terrorism
inciting
falls
violence,
under
the
that, yeah.
doxing people. Sorry,
Bless you.
thank you. It's Jay.
He's allergic.
So, but anything illegal, child pornography, doxing people, that stuff. So Alex Jones is like, any of that stuff illegal. I'm talking about racism. I'm talking about any of this stuff. I'm talking about an ideology.
And what Alex
Would you
said.
make it? Would you censor it? Would you not? Alex,
Give me an example,
Alex
though.
said, Destiny said there should be at least a body, a governing body at the companies and with the government that censors.
Oh, man,
now,
that's tough with
Alex
government.
said, absolutely not. Okay, he said that, and so then I said to all of this panel, because I was in over my head, I said,
He's the
I was just there. I mean, I was with these people, but these people live and breathe this stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And I said, well, here's my question. If you have an election and somebody's very good at planning a story, and they are able to sway the vote at a key time in the election,
like Trump and Russia.
yes,
collusion.
whatever it might
Yeah.
be, what do we do about that? And Alex Jones said, you let the people decide. And he said, you let everything fly, unless it's illegal, you let everything on the internet, because what happens is we will all learn
Figure it out.
to be careful,
What we
and we
believe
will
in.
get, and then it will spawn an industry of people we trust,
Legit journalists.
to verify or not.
kinda agree with
so
that.
that to me is where I came down.
But no one, you're giving way too much. You're assuming that there's people just smart enough to do that. What do you think the whole there's
This country
so
was
many,
founded on that concept. that the
I'm not saying that this isn't right. I'm just saying like assuming there's so many dumb people out there that are just looking for a story that aren't going to investigate further. And who do you trust anymore for the news? I don't know.
Well,
But
that's-
the cream would
that
rise to the
exists
top,
now,
right?
right.
It'd rise to the top where you'd say, we know for a fact if it comes from this, this company,
that's
that
what.
it's facts.
But that's what you. But what is? Yeah, maybe.
Someone's gonna have to rise
Alex
to the
Jones
top
is so
because
funny.
now there's none of. Where do you?
No, I
where
know.
would you go now? Like CNN? Yeah, get the fuck out of there. Fox? No way.
Yeah.
We know they're both compromised.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know where you turn.
Well,
But you'd have to have someone come out and create a business.
what
off
would
of it.
happen is Fox, for example, I'll give you an example, like with this whole Dominion thing. They're in deep shit because
getting
they
sued, dude.
right, and what happens is people go, hold on. Now that you've been sued, you go into a process of discovery. We get to see your emails, see your phone stuff,
Text.
everything. So now text. So now it turns out you guys hate Trump. You guys thought he was full of shit. The campaign official, Trump's campaign official, was like, the audit looked pretty close to the count. We're like, hold on, wait a minute. You were a Trump campaign official. You on Fox were peddling this, and you didn't believe it yourself. So what happens is their market share goes, I don't know now.
Advertisers
You guys
jump
lied
out,
to us.
where they make billions of dollars a year. Advertisers jump off.
That's why transparency is important.
But CNN's doing the same thing.
Of course they are.
So if you're on the left, you watch CNN.
But
if
they
you're on the
paid a
right, you
price
watch
for
Fox.
it. How
Both
are
of them.
their ratings doing?
Yeah,
CNN.
agree.
They ate a dick.
But where can you go where you can have someone in the middle?
Well, so
who
I
just
think
wants the truth.
You know where you go? Crazy enough.
you-
People like Russell Brand, Joe Rogan, that
Breaking
kind of stuff.
points. That's
All
probably
of
the
that.
best.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is that if you allow the marketplace to work, you will find people, and because over
But
time you
think
get
about
fooled.
You,
But
think
then
about who you just recommended.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be up to Russell Brand, who is a comedic actor. It
but
shouldn't
it
be
is
up
now.
But it's not. That's
Right.
not what he wants to do either. It's not up
think it
to
is.
Joe Rogan to give you the news. Maybe Russell Brand.
But we do have
It's not. It's not up to Rogan.
I think mainstream media, for the most part, you could make the argument for the most part is going to get a lot of facts right, not interpretation, but facts.
Oh, I did not when it comes to politicians. Because when you say mainstream media, you mean like CBS, NBC, they're all compromised.
I'll play this for you. This is great. This is from
Hopefully
Matt
this
Gaetz.
goes faster
So
than
Matt
that
Gaetz is a
Luke Coffey.
Republican congressman, okay? And he's not a guy I don't know much about him at all, but this is a guy who's been in Congress he's been elected 4 times. He's been there for, so he's an entrenched congressman. You see him on C-SPAN all the time, okay? He's as deep a Washington bureaucrat as possible. Listen to
ready
what
to
this
go?
motherfucker says.
This is my 4th term, and I'm tired of the way this place works. I think it's deeply corrupt. I think the lobbyists run the show most of the times. I think people are more interested in servicing their PAC fundraiser than they are the needs of their constituents. And it's a grift game. And the way that what facilitates that grift game is an entire sophisticated structure that ensures that no one's really responsible for the legislating. Right? If we had to take individual votes on individual departments and authorizations and bills and spending, then we would probably be held to account to a greater degree by the people in this country. But instead what you get is every year or so, some multi-thousand page bill that you get a day and a half to read. And the whole deal is thumbs up or thumbs down on the whole thing. And then you're left with the decision of, voting for a bunch of don't agree with, or leaving out the widows and the orphans and the veterans and the military and things that every American would care about. And we had to force upon the system a better way to deal with legislating as an enterprise. And that had features in policy, features in personnel, and features in procedure. And that's what we're working through.
Yeah.
It's also like duh, right?
Right, but it's interesting that somebody in the system is calling out themselves.
And he won't win
It's
for
like-
that. He'll be ostracized for that. It's gonna be
No,
tough to run on.
I don't think so.
He'll win on that.
You think?
Yeah, because everybody
I hope
agrees
he
with it.
does.
Everybody goes,
Yeah, I hope he does, yeah.
But I feel like
Because
this
like,
is-
where do you get your news from? Like, if you want to like read about whatever it is,
I don't.
you just don't. You stopped. You just
I've
white
just
flagged it.
I've just been in the last 3 years, to be straight up with you, I've been focused on making sure my kids are seen and heard and loved and cared for, and I get my sanity and get my life in order. So, to me, to give a fuck, I mean, bro, I'll be straight up. I've gone to Iraq and performed for the troops. I've done it in Kuwait. I've done it in Qatar, and I do it because I'm like, oh, I think this is great for the troops, but I think it's fucking horseshit, and I don't like any of it.
Yeah.
And I look at our politics and government, and everyone I know is like, your vote counts, and I'm just like, I just don't think it
Does
does.
it?
It's
Yeah, I
so
agree.
fucking tied up in so much horseshit
Yep.
that I'm just like, you know what I'd much rather do? I'd much rather just take my kids to a park, and when then they go to bed, I'm going to do the laundry, and I'm going to make sure clothes are done, and then I'm going to try and figure out jokes to make people laugh, because all of this shit just seems
I
so
want to do that
insurmountable
too,
and out of
I do
my
do
control.
that. I do that, and I want to
Until
do
they're
that.
forcing vaccine
Problem is, it
masks
comes
on
to you,
kids.
brother.
I know I would love, I'm just not as informed as I could be. You know what I mean?
I get it.
I get it.
I get it. Because you don't.
It's exhausting.
It's just
If you get too deep into it, it's exhausting.
Well, also,
And you realize how little
can't do
power
much you can
have.
do, yeah.
Yeah, you have so much.
Although I got to say, Austin, for example, is a hotbed for generally like just self-expression and politics. And you've got anarchists, you got capitalists, you got social. It's just like a whole group. You got the comedy scene. It's a very, very vibrant scene right now.
Oh yeah,
Of that,
Austin.
and it's
I mean,
America. It's America's best because Americans are just having it out in conversation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you went there to host that.
Well, I was there at
That's why you were
the
there.
Minds Fest thing. The audience was like, yeah. In other words, they were Alex Jones fans, Destiny fans. Then people just shaking their heads, going, "What?" It was just an American forum because the crowd was getting into it. Alex Jones would say something like, and they're like, bullshit. Yeah, and then I said, he's a conspiracy theorist, and they're like, you're being a jerk. And I'm like, I was just
said
saying.
about Alex Jones?
I didn't mean. I was being.
No, do
I was
not-
being,
yeah.
dramatic.
I think a lot of time too, it's whoever's going to scream the loudest and whoever's going to bark the biggest bark. They're going to get people to hear, and they might not be the most informed and the most intelligent and the most.
Yeah.
Well, that's the argument why Trump won, right?
What's that?
That's the argument why Trump won. He was
I mean, it might
loudest
be,
and
yeah.
Well,
What's that thing on Rogan there, Chin?
Oh. It's current events.
Oh.
let's get into it.
Hey, B, let's take a little break. You like nuts in your mouth, don't you?
I love nuts in my
Do you
mouth.
like big, juicy nuts?
I do love big juicy
Like the
nuts.
bigger the nut, the better down your mouth?
Look, I'm a fan of almonds. I'm a fan of pistachios.
No,
yeah,
that's
but
the thing.
I want something more buttery. I want something rounder. I want something with more of a full, sexy
You're
body.
talking about macadamia nuts.
I'm talking about macadamia
But are you
nuts.
Elon Musk?
They're so expensive. They're so expensive. I can't afford macadamia nuts unless I knew of a company that actually worked with
Talking about
90 farmers.
You're talking
to make
about
the
House
highest,
of Macadamias?
I'm talking about House of Macadamias.
Bro.
HOM.
How much do we eat these? They're here in the studio all the time.
Yeah.
They didn't start off as a sponsor.
Well, we eat them
These
every
are
day.
dipped macadamia nuts. This is the raspberry white chocolate. The chocolate's great. The regular macadamia nuts are great. I like these nuts in my mouth.
Look, they're
the
the
only
most-
nuts I put in these lips.
Look at my skin, dude. I'm 75 years old, and if it
of
wasn't for
nuts.
macadamia nuts, I wouldn't look 56. Here's the bottom line. You want to look 20 years younger? You want to live 20 years longer? They're the healthiest, most delicious nut in there. They are also the lowest carb of any popular nut. 33% less than almonds, 50% less than cashews. And they are arguably the best fat profile of any nut, like an avocado on steroids, okay? They have more monosaturated fat. I don't know what it means, but I know it's very
Sounds
healthy.
good. No, listen, macadamia nuts are known as the most expensive nut and often hard to find, but House of Macadamias is changing that and bringing the power of that macadamia
They got
to your doorstep.
omega-7 fatty acids, dude, that supports natural collagen production, glucose metabolism, and it reduces inflammation. They have thus been linked to longevity and fat loss, so shut up. They even have an amazing omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, which is 3 times better than that of pistachios.
Listen, I don't know what Brian's saying.
reading
I'm
this-
bored as well as you guys are listening. Listen, they taste delicious.
I didn't know any of
They're
this,
good
actually.
for you. House
I'm
of
excited.
Macadamias has an amazing range of products, no added sugar or artificial ingredients, from hand-sorted nuts with savory, all-natural flavors, even dipped in sugar-free chocolate, my favorite.
Oof, it's a
to the
it's a
macadamia
superfood.
bars. Have you had the macadamia bars?
Yes, it's a superfood.
They're ridiculous. All right? Listen, they never do discounts, but just for the Fire and Kid listeners, they're about to give you the power of the macadamia nut.
House of Macadamias
has a very special offer. Use the code TFAK for 20% off your order. For a limited time, they're giving the listeners a free bottle of cold pressed extra virgin macadamia oil
What?
worth 20
Does it go on my
buckaroos.
body?
Yeah, dude, put it on your leg.
You should see what I look like, my torso in
You're all oiled up.
a thin conservative sheet of extra
It's-
virgin
I bet you're
macadamia
tough to
oil.
hold down.
Dude, let me tell you
Oh,
something.
dude, prove it.
Let me tell you something. It's perfect for cooking, given its high smoke point and buttery flavor.
Yep.
Try cooking with it.
So you can get that cold pressed extra virgin macadamia oil worth 20 bucks when you visit houseofmacadamias.com/TFAK. That
House of
is
Macadamias.
20% off these delicious nuts in your mouth. And you get a free bottle of cold pressed extra virgin macadamia oil worth 20 bucks when you visit houseofmacadamias.com/TFAK.
I need
Get your
one.
macadamia nut on.
I need one.
Okay.
Let's get into some current events, man.
Georgie, you want to take this?
So Joe had to issue a warning after a artificial intelligent podcast using his voice, using everything. It's literally like a 2-hour long Joe Rogan experience, all AI modeled. And he had to put out, a statement saying, watch out for this,
Yeah, it's insane. You know what? I know someone who, I think you know this person, made a stand-up comedy set by Tom Brady. You know that?
No?
Was that the rumors that Tom's doing stand up? Because I was going, what do you stand
After
up?
that rumor came out, someone has an AI software that created a stand-up, pushed into it all Tom Brady interviews and all these other clips of him speaking,
Sound bites and shit?
and it spit out an hour-long stand-up set by Tom Brady. And the person that I know that listened to it said it was good.
It got better reviews than mine. God damn.
Oh,
it.
dude, it didn't even.
God.
It's
dog.
you know
Reddit didn't go bad on it.
that's
God
just it's
damn.
crazy what AI can. I mean, it's just insane.
Well, they even did it with The Weeknd and Drake. They took all the music they do, they put it into Chat GPT, did a song, and it's a banger. And then someone posted it, and it's so good. And they were like, musicians are fucked.
Let me hear it.
Brian called this so early on, too.
It's going to be like you're going to just have to make a decision that if you want to did you hear there was that AI, what was it? There was this like AI generated thing that had to hire someone. It had to do something. like when you go through at the end of like signing up for something on like whatever Amazon, they're like, what are the traffic lights? And you have to click the traffic lights. You know what I mean? That's a blocker for like AI. And there was like some computer system that like got to a block in like this program that they tested it, and it went on Fiverr, hired someone to go do the thing that they couldn't do as an AI, and had a person do it and paid them so that the AI could get through it. You know, it's going to be up to us to say like, oh yeah, we just want to either support. Because you could just use AI to replace graphic designers if you wanted for your business, you know, and stuff like that.
But think about Hollywood. Think about writers. You
There's already programs. There's already programs.
I mean,
So obviously I have to cut this out just in case. But
you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we can't
audio.
play this. It's pretty fucking.
Yeah, but you still need Drake in the.
The bottom line is, here's the bottom line. Not only with whatever AI is going to create, but our entire society is so watered down by people, just everything's watered through some filtered thing that people are going to love this kind of stuff at the end of the day because they're just watered down anyway.
What's this? This is the AI Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm. So I just played just a little bit of it.
Joe Rogan podcast all day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very.
That doesn't look like Rogan.
Who the fuck is that?
I'm your host, Joe Rogan. Or at least that's what this AI model thinks I sound like. The cutting-edge AI language.
It sounds exactly like
developed by OpenAI.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, what's going on with
The
Joe?
real Joe Rogan.
I'm like, Joe, I knew he was a robot.
I am Joe Rogan. Sam's been at the forefront of the AI industry for
Well, you get the point pretty
Yeah,
much.
that
But
definitely doesn't look like Joe Rogan on there, though.
Yeah.
That's what they
no,
fucked
that's
up.
the voice though. It's actually no.
It's pretty good.
You can imagine
It's
how good it's
Well,
going to
that's
be.
ChatGPT 4. Now we are going to be dealing with ChatGPT 100.
That's what I was going to say. ChatGPT 10.
Yeah. So when you have
It's gonna
Elon
come.
Musk and those people going, hey, we need a global
Yes.
pause.
Yep.
Like there's so many. The technology is going to either liberate us, kill us, or both.
Kill us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, put it this way: at the end of the
Terminator
day,
2.
do you like to go out for a hike in the woods and be around nature and like swim in a lake?
Yes.
You know, so it's just going to come down to like you making a choice of like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer going to like live music, and I mean actual live music?
Yes.
Or do you
know
wanna
what I mean?
watch
Or
it?
do you want to just be a part of something? Because I guarantee you, half of that fucking Drake song, the people aren't into it because they're into the song. They're into it because they're into this idea that AI did it. And then they're into the idea that all these people are getting into it, and they don't want to be left behind this idea. And they feel like they're like, oh, I want to be part of this conversation.
I think it's just pushed the narrative more, making Americans especially softer. Because now, like, if we're going to live in that VR world, this ChatGPT world, not a real world, you can look however you want. You don't have to go to the gym anymore. You can get a six-pack just by creating an avatar.
I know, but you know,
it makes everyone
I
softer.
think-
There's no consequences.
I think
No discipline.
the one thing that might save us a little bit, I don't know if you feel this way, but like when you're on YouTube, when you're on social, when you're on your phone too much, you just
Junk. Your
yes,
brain's like,
your,
what?
Your
brain's
brain,
like, I need real food,
right?
man.
Your brain needs real
Yeah.
food.
Well,
brain-
yeah, but you guys were also born before the internet. Just
I don't think so.
heads
I
up.
think even kids, because kids
Definitely
are
not.
actually shunning it. A lot of kids are like, I can't do this. Like a lot of kids are aware. My daughter,
The odds would beg to differ, B.
really?
The stats would say completely different.
Yeah.
It's like suicide through the fucking
But
roof.
that's what I mean is like kids are starting to even see, oh, this is not serving me. This ultimately feels good, but it's not good for me. And I think that's what kind of happens.
I also
Like,
think
all
it comes
of us.
down to the same thing. It's like it's in your house. What are you doing in your house? How much are you connecting with your kids? What are you exposing your kids to? What do you allow them to watch? What are you exposing them to as a parent?
Yep.
What do you bring your kids to? You know what I mean?
But now you're talking like a dad. And what is the thing? Like the leading cause of antisocial behavior is fatherlessness. The leading cause of suicide among kids is fatherlessness. Those kids never have a father in the
Like
home.
my kid doesn't get an
I didn't
iPad.
have a dad.
You didn't have a dad?
Nope.
You turned out pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know.
But that's why you're such a good dad.
Well, yeah. I mean, I lean into it hardcore.
Yeah.
No, my kids don't have iPads.
No, mine neither.
Yeah.
I saw a study on. I'm like, we're getting rid of those.
We never had them.
Yeah, they had them for a little bit, just maybe when they were eating lunch, they'd watch, whatever that bullshit stuff, like the kid stuff. And then I saw this study, this extensive study over 10 years of kids that had iPads and kids that didn't, and the learning disabilities the kids had that had the iPad, and just the
I can't-
social network. Dude, I was like, oh, we're getting rid of them.
I can't imagine anything good. My son's 9,
No.
my daughter's 7. There's never had an iPad, never had an iPhone, never gone to a meal at a restaurant where they watched a phone, ever. They have school computers. You know what I mean?
That's different though. Yeah, we do too.
but those don't. It's not like they get to use those at home or maybe sometime over the weekend. My son has a Switch. He's only allowed to use it over the weekend, and he's never using it for like, hourly clips in any capacity. We go to museums. My kids draw. My daughter the other night, she was bedtime. She's all bummed out. I go, what's the matter? She goes, I wish I had more time to draw. And I go, you want me to wake you up early? And she goes, yes, get me up at 5.
That's
I'm
cool.
like, I ain't getting you up at 5. I go, I'm going to get up to meditate at 6. I'll wake you up at 6:30. I usually have to wake them up at 7 to go to school.
Yeah.
So I go in at 6:30. I go, hey. She's like, I go, it's 6:30. Do you want to do some art? She's like, cover off at her desk, drawing. My son walks to the kitchen breakfast table reading a book. He brushes his teeth reading a book.
Nerd alert. No, that's cool.
And it's great.
Yeah, no, I love it.
It's the
But
best.
that's the thing with iPads is it shuts down their creativity.
Really?
So that
Of course.
Because when
Come
you're
on,
bored,
Brian.
when you're bored as a kid and you're with your brother, like me and my brother, we'd either go outside, play sports. You're forced to be creative.
Yeah.
You got to come up with ideas.
Yeah.
But you have an iPad, it just steals all of that. Like when you're on your phone, you're not coming up with new bits on the road.
No, dude.
It's stealing
It's the
your
enemy.
creativity.
Camping.
Yes.
When we go camping, I'm like, we're going camping this weekend. Going to Joshua Tree. Wait. Do you guys camp?
No.
I grew up camping.
You go camping with your kids, you will see completely different human beings than you see in their day-to-day
Really?
life. Are you kidding? Yes.
And you go
you
to Joshua Tree?
Yeah, we're going this weekend. We're going Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
gotta do
coming
that.
back.
Yeah, it's great.
Intense,
I
or
grew
they
up
have
to
like
that.
cabins?
Intense.
Camping, dude. Not the Four
Intense,
Seasons,
Brian.
you rich fuck.
The first
It's
time
you
we
take
went
a
camping-
private jet
I mean,
to
but
the mountains.
is there room service? I mean, where do you do this camping?
The first time we went camping, they shit in a bucket.
Really?
Yeah, out in Buellton.
Yeah, I used to
we
shit
camp all the
behind
time.
trees.
Yeah.
Dude, I was camping with my kids, and I'm sitting there. I got my daughter on my lap, and we're looking up at the stars. And at the time, this is in Buellton. Mars was out, Venus was out. We saw the International Space Station go by, and I was like, guys, look at this. I go, look how big the moon is compared to us. And then I look up the size of the moon, the size of Earth, and then how far it is, and then how big Jupiter is, and then how many Earths fit inside Jupiter.
Can you videotape your experience next time so me and my kids can watch it?
No, and we go through all this, and then my daughter just goes. My daughter was 5 at the time. She goes, Dad. I go, what? She goes, it's overwhelming me. Like just even
It's a
having
lot.
that. And I think not only do we like,
So cool.
I think sometimes like, when you give kids space to just have thoughts on their own, just by like talking to them like as an adult, you'd be really surprised at like what they're
An
capable
iPad will
of.
steal all that.
Because
iPad
what's inside
phones will
them.
steal
All of it.
all that
Steal all of it.
creativity.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a disaster. What else you got, Chin?
Let me just check TikTok for a second.
Brian, I'm surprised. I feel like you would be more into this kind of stuff.
I am. I'm just not. I'm not. I don't.
Do you guys play board games? I mean,
I don't.
well, your kids are older,
Yes.
so you may
well,
have
yes,
missed that window. of,
Chess.
like,
My son loves to play chess and backgammon.
Oh man, Elon with this BBC
this was
journalist.
good.
Yeah, this one.
I tweeted out, I said, you might as well sent me to do this interview. This guy
This
was
was
not
good.
ready. He was like, well, no, and he's like, well, give me an example. He's like,
Oh, dude,
I can't.
52 million views. This guy got roasted.
I contributed to about 200,000.
Oh, are you really? Hold on a second, Brian. Are you really surprised that on Elon Musk's social media platform that he owns, his video got 52 million views? That's so mind-blowing to you.
52 million, though. That's a lot.
I can't believe in my house, my artwork is all over the wall.
Yeah.
But
on,
that's
bro.
Kid's favorite.
that's what is that?
But you know how this came to fruition is the BBC was like, we'd love to interview Elon because they thought they were going to like get one over on him. He goes, open door policy anytime you want to come. So the guy comes unannounced. He goes, I want to speak to Elon. They go up to Elon and goes, yeah, I'll sit down with him. Unprepared, whatever. He's like, I'll answer whatever he wants. Get the camera out.
Oh, this is good.
That's how it went. Go ahead,
Oh, this
Chin.
is so good.
Well, it's a long ass interview, but
Oh, just a clip on
love
Twitter of him blowing him up.
Hold on, can we pause it? This is exactly the problem with where people are getting their news from. This is a clip from a clip, and we're going to watch a shorter clip of it to then show how he got roasted.
It's true, dude. It's fun.
Yeah,
You're right.
true.
We're just sitting here
You
being like,
are
yeah,
true.
you go to Rogan and Russell Brand and you go to these other people, and all they're doing is getting a clip from a clip
You're
from a
right.
clip and then putting it in the
true.
platform that fits what they
Although
want
I will
to
say-
Shows him
I will
just like
say-
the one part of the interview.
You
we just
go,
showed.
yeah, we don't have time though. They just show us a little bit. Show
Well,
where he
no,
roasts
so-
them.
No, I've seen the
how
whole.
long
I've
did
seen
the whole thing go?
the
Yeah.
whole interview. Now, for us to
it's
play
a-
the
it's a-
5 minutes,
it's an entire
answer him
interview.
like,
I know, dude. Trust
You know?
me. They fell asleep earlier
But
when Brian was talking about.
Jocko
I
or
do
whatever.
think it's worth the fact that this BBC journalist, and there's a narrative, and he doesn't even know what he's talking about.
Well, we've said
That's-
this already that all
yeah.
these news journal, like it's very rare to find someone who's well educated and knows what they're doing.
Yes.
so there's a shorter one that George sent me.
this is the one I posted.
What do we describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist.
Elon has tits, huh?
Those kinds of things.
So you think something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
I didn't know.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm
Well, I'm just
saying
curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content. And I'm asking for specific examples. And if you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. If I say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use it. Honestly,
You can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why, because I don't actually use that.
But you just said.
Anymore, because I don't particularly like it.
But you said
a lot of people are quite similar. I only.
Well, hang on a second. You said you see more hateful content. You can't name
Wait, can you stop for a sec? What do you mean? When he says I don't use that feed, what does that mean in Twitter?
Saying he doesn't use Twitter. Like he doesn't use his personal feed anymore. He's like, I've seen
Is
more.
he saying that, or is he saying I don't? It's confusing to me.
He fucked up because he goes, I'm seeing more hateful comments on there. And Elon goes, well.
So he doesn't look at that feed?
Yeah,
What,
like
that
his
feed
personal one, but probably his personal Twitter feed.
Okay.
I mean, well,
And so then Elon goes, but hold on, you just said you see more than ever. He goes, give me an example. He goes, well, I don't look at it. He goes, well, that doesn't make sense. You just said you saw it.
Keep going.
Well, it was the day Elon took over. The N-word was used more on Twitter in that day.
So they say.
So they say, right. I saw a bunch of posts because, I follow certain feeds that show that kind of thing. But I will say this. Let's also not forget that this dude from the BBC, even though he's got a BBC handle and he works for the BBC, he himself is just trying to get attention and likes and views by going.
Totally
why would you ambush him, set him up? Because he thought he was going to come out and he's going to do this thing instead of being like, let's get a meeting, let's set it up, let's do Alex Jones and everything.
I agree.
And boy, did it backfire. It's like, did you think you were going to be smarter than the guy who owns Twitter?
This is my favorite part. Watch.
He could be smarter if he had any research and done any information. It's like when you watch a stand-up get up and you're like, oh, you haven't developed this joke at all. You haven't dug deeper into it. You haven't found the next move and the next move. That's why you watch the greats and you're like, oh, they do the boring bullshit of sitting down and chew it down and chew it down and chew it down.
But see, most of the people with these talking points, if you grill them, they wouldn't. So on Saturday Night Live, when that Megan Kearney, she goes
the first transgender.
She's the non-binary.
Yes,
which is like I'm not going to do anything. I'm a big chick from Cleveland, but it's kind of a great troll. It's a great troll.
Farley.
I'm non-binary. That way, I get we talk about it. Yeah. Probably that's what's going on. I don't know. But here's where she goes. You're against healthcare for kids, for trans kids. No, excuse me. No, it's about being against gender affirming care, as you put it, for trans kids. First of all, you don't know if they're trans. You know why? Psychologists don't know because their brains are developing. Their parents don't know. And you know who else doesn't know they're trans?
The kid.
Kids.
Yeah.
But what you're saying with gender affirming, you want to castrate children and have double mastectomies and give them drugs that sterilize them. That's what you think is going to stop them from committing suicide if they are trans.
Yeah.
That's what you call your fucking healthcare. Get the fuck out of here. So if you grill them, I love when you grill people who have this narrative that takes on like a snowball, and it's like it stops it right in its tracks.
That's to Jay's point. Nobody's doing any of the research, looking into it. So we don't have the facts. So everyone's basing their assumption off clicks and shortcut versions of it.
Well,
I don't know how the rest of that interview went. Yeah.
It's
like, did he
not very
did
well.
he do 2 hours? And that's the one clip?
No, he didn't give him 2 hours.
To that interview?
I bet he gave him a half hour tops, 45 minutes.
Yeah, I wonder how I wonder how the very end was. Is this just was it a full?
I think it was a full interview, but he kept wanting to change the subject, and then it sort of went on to a different topic afterwards.
He doesn't?
Do you want to finish this then? Or?
No, this is just a clip. This cuts out.
He goes. Give me an example. I can't. You just lied. Yeah, it's great.
What else you got, Jen?
Hold up.
How do we get on? Oh, this is the whole.
See, this is where, back to like what you said real quick about non-binary or not identifying. I have people in my life that don't identify as male or female. As they identify as they, them. And they want to have surgery to their body. And they're an adult. And
do it.
Their parent or the person that their parent doesn't acknowledge it, can't even fathom it.
How old are they?
They're 21 years old. Can't fathom it. And so what my core thing is when you ask me about the news or my thing, and when I'm just like, all I give a shit about is making sure that I take care of my kids to create loving, nurtured human beings, so that if my kids ever came to me and said I'm gay or I'm trans or whatever it is in adult age, that I'm able to just support them and hold them like, I got your back. I don't care what it is that you want. I got your back and I'll love you.
I disagree with you. Totally disagree with you. Because let me tell you something. That 21-year-old or a lot of these people, do you think they'd have these conversations and have this thing where something's wrong with me if the trans ideology hadn't gotten in their heads?
Well, I don't think there's something wrong with it. I don't think they're saying there's something
bottom
wrong.
line is, I am saying,
not all of them be.
What I'm saying is that there are a lot of people who have issues with their life. They feel confused.
Of course.
When you're young and you're trying to make sense of the world, you not only are you confused, but a lot of times you will go to extremes. It's how our brain is. It's how I was, a lot of kids. When you have enough social contagion and enough of a support system for an insane ideology, you are going to take that ideology on. Why? For 1,000 reasons. One of which might be, I belong to this group now. One of this might be, it makes me unique now. One of this might be, it's so extreme, maybe it'll change everything because I don't like myself. Self-loathing, not liking yourself, being dissatisfied with who you are is part of being fucking young. And the fact that we have an industry now, which makes a lot of money, supporting the mutilation of your body, which I don't believe is going to necessarily, in a lot of cases, make you not kill yourself.
Yeah,
not
that's
better.
true.
But we don't have enough evidence.
So with kids, don't touch the kids. But let's say it's a 25-year-old, 30-year-old, and they still feel it. And there's actual people out there that identify as a woman.
I would never. I'm not going to stop
do
them.
Your thing.
I'm not stopping them.
Do your thing. It's just when you go to the kids where I'm like, let's wait.
You know, as a guy who believes in two genders, like I'm a guy who believes that your gender correlates to your biology, and I make no apologies.
Brad was trans for 3 years,
male and female. But if you are trans, if you come in and you're trans, if you're a man who transitioned to a woman, and you want me, I'm going to refer to you as she. I'm never going to make you feel bad. I don't get off on that.
Right.
So, and by the way, I'm also going to protect your ability and right to do that. But I don't believe, and if you want me to call you a woman, I don't believe you're a woman, but I'll call you a woman. But now, here's where it stops. You want to fight for biological males in female sports? Go fuck yourself.
Agree.
You want to fight for letting kids make their own choices on this? Go fuck yourself.
I wish you were passionate about this.
I'm
you know
so
what I mean?
passionate about it. It's my red line in the sand.
Hey, who hurt you?
Anybody who disagrees with me, I don't want them.
Put their
no, it's bad for kids.
Yeah, but I'm not. I think you made a lot of valid points. Things that and I love that you have a stance on it. Yeah. What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing you can do, whatever you're filling your time and your energy with, if you are a parent, is just being there with your kids, love on them, give them discipline. I'm not saying baby them, give them discipline, let them know they're cared, not try and solve their problems, give them the ability to solve their own problems. And hopefully with all that pain and anger and hate and self-loathing won't be at the surface. I mean, maybe it's way down a little tiny bit, or maybe they'll only have 10% of that versus 90. That way, if they did come to this realization that maybe this is something that they needed to do for themselves, transition or come out as gay, they know that there's a loving environment to do it in, and they're doing it from a place of like, hey, this is who I am, not a place of I want to be a part of something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And suicide's not an option because they have the support.
Yeah, of course. Suicide, man. Is
well, do you know the highest rate of suicide? So among transgender people who have experienced gender dysphoria, it's 42% or something. Now think about how high that is.
Yeah,
42%. This is what's actually driving
42% of all people that do the transformation.
So typically, people who have this gender dysphoria, this notion that I'm in the wrong gender, the real people, not the people that are I'm non-binary.
No, not the people on Twitter.
Not Demi Lovato. I'm talking about people who actually are willing to go through this surgery, which is a major thing.
The girl from Juno.
They have a 42% suicide rate. And
after
now listen. To
after you're saying.
Well, no, they don't know. So they don't know that there are a lot of people that detransition. A lot of kids are detransitioning.
Like coming back.
A lot.
And when you say kids, what do you mean? What age?
I'm talking about kids who went on puberty blockers at 14, 13.
That's freshmen that come back senior. Dave went in as Brenda.
And they're all, the Tavistock Clinic in England had to shut down from their thousands of lawsuits because a lot of these kids were autistic. Nobody tells you about this. This is like the equivalent of lobotomies. But at the end of the day, what was I talking about before we said this?
Transgender 42% after.
Oh yeah,
the
so
transformation.
42%, right? So check this out. So that's a higher suicide rate than people in concentration camps during the Holocaust and during slavery, where American black slaves were under bondage, human beings in bondage. They didn't come close to that suicide rate. And you want to talk about that.
Who's doing the fucking stats then? Can I just ask you real quick? You feel so in between fucking getting that caught, and you give me your suicide.
They have
you suicidal?
They have those stats.
Because
they have those stats. The average life expectancy.
Well, they know who killed themselves,
all
but
that
they
stuff.
don't.
But they don't know who's having suicidal. Either way,
Yes, they do. So the Holocaust is very clear records on that. People know exactly what went on in those camps.
I could easily see Hitler wanting to know those stats and initiating that from a scientist, but I can't. I would love to see where you're getting the information of slave owners being like, "Yeah, I talked to a good chunk of guys. I asked them,
historians and scholars.
5 out of 10.
So historians and scholars, if the suicide rate was anywhere close to 42% among American slaves, it would be.
You're talking
about something we all know.
So you're saying the current rate on trans is 42% that actually follow through with it, not wanting to do it.
Yes,
Got it.
yes.
So you can have that stat.
Now watch
I got
this.
that.
Now that's what I mean. Want to. Who actually do it?
Do it.
Now that's such a high rate.
That's
why people are
crazy
trans.
rate.
That's why people who are trans activists want to nip it in the bud, right? They're like the people that actually really care are saying this is unacceptable, which it is, right? Do you know who the only other group that comes close to 42% who has roughly the same amount of suicide? This is kind of crazy.
What?
Teenagers?
Nope, not close. Paranoid schizophrenics.
Oh, wow.
So it's
way off.
It's a weird thing, right? So
yeah,
it's like,
of course.
So you understand that if you do really have gender dysphoria, which is very, very rare, it's a very rare thing, and it's almost always male
It
to
has to be
female.
less than 1%.
Way less. But it's ushered in this whole gender.
Well, what is the percentage
ideology.
of people doing it now?
So it's called social contagion, the way anorexia was and bulimia was among girls. Jordan Peterson said all the psychologists knew, the literature was very clear, that you were going to create mass confusion among young children, especially girls already ostracized, already emotionally and mentally unstable.
How so?
Well, you have children who already have their loners, they're autistic or whatever it might be. They're already imbalanced psychologically.
Yeah.
This is part of adolescence. This is part of middle school and stuff like that.
And they have a safe
all
home
of a sudden
and
you
loving
create
their home?
all that. All of a sudden you create an epidemic. You create the possibility that this is what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I just have experience with this because I have children. When they go on.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're anorexic.
No, I
If
am.
do,
Yes.
I'll hug you.
What?
I would support that.
I'm too shredded. We know that, and
Well,
I'm
no,
too
you're
shredded.
no, you're not like healthy skinny.
No, but I'm
right?
shredded.
You're too skinny. No.
Too shredded.
Me and Jason Thicks.
Fuck, guys.
No, dude.
I'll give you.
Blocked.
Ah, damn it. But anorexia.
Should we talk about Boston Marathon bombing again?
Yeah.
To lighten it up a little?
Yeah.
know, this has been
How's your special going?
It's been a heavy podcast. Back to Jay's special.
What else you got, Chin? You got any happy stuff or more people dying?
I don't think there's much happy stuff out here right now.
That's the news, Chin. That's probably the problem. Where are you getting your news?
Oh, here's a happy one. Oh. This is Ed Sheeran. He did concerts, I think, in Brooklyn. And then there's this Subway singer who's like an older black dude. He sings Ed Sheeran songs all the time. So Ed Sheeran surprised him and gave him tickets. So
God, I wish I was on that train. I was on the Atlanta train getting to
Shopping
the...
for your first rental property, and then you
Let's wait for the advertisement
Wait a minute,
first.
hold on, let me write this down.
Here.
Everywhere I look, I still see you.
He wasn't that surprised, was he? Well, now
I expected him to be crying and all that stuff, but yeah.
Dancing with my eyes closed. Everywhere I look, I still see you. Time is moving so slow. I don't know what else that I can do. I keep dancing with my eyes closed. I keep dancing with my eyes.
Guy in the background's doing this.
That's the worst episode of American Idol I've ever seen. Jesus Christ.
I love that all he did was give him tickets. That's all he did.
He's like, cool,
He couldn't
man.
have him up and sing a song with you. What the
You
fuck?
see
That would've been
You see
amazing.
that guy who's like, he's like, you're doing nothing with your life, man. What are you doing with your life? He's like just sitting there with his hat on like that. And he goes, I'm doing music. He goes, you're not doing music. And he goes, no, I could show you some. It's his grandson. And the guys go, what are you going to show me? He goes, I know you like Prince. I gotta play your favorite
insane?
song. Dude, he plays Purple Rain.
It's good.
The grandfather's like, you see him like
Starts
this.
crying?
And he goes like this, and he goes, then you see him go,
He loved it. Yeah.
and then he gets up and has to walk away. I was like, woo!
He couldn't even have feelings.
The kid was so good.
The guy
kid was,
can't have
the kid is
feelings.
so good. You're like, oh,
Was the kid
Jesus Christ.
transitioning?
Huh?
What?
What?
I was just trying to tie it all together.
Yes.
You know what's one of the greatest things about the Sandler special, 100% Fresh? Have you
What?
seen it?
Yeah.
Obviously, you've seen
The
it.
Chris Farley tribute?
Well, I mean, that's great too. But
Yeah.
when he went and he just performs in subways and just like does
Yes.
shit in subways,
Love
that's
it.
a great.
see it.
I think
I
that's
didn't see it.
You didn't watch 100% Fresh?
No.
It's just like one of the best stand-up specials in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's great.
Crazy. It's so great.
Wow.
But keep watching the TikTok with the grandpa.
Yeah,
What else you got?
I guess we can end with this one.
George
Yeah,
Bear kills a moose
this-
during your wedding.
Yeah, that explains
I'd
all
be
of it.
excited.
This is
That's Mother Nature, baby.
Kills a moose during your wedding.
Fuck the whole wedding up.
That is so awesome. That's
That bear's like,
fucking
gotta
awesome.
eat, man.
Oh,
What do you
gotta
want me to
eat.
do?
It's just nature, you fuck. That's a bad omen, huh? Or a good one.
Well, that's why
Look at that thing.
that's how you know what kind of wedding party it is. They're like, oh my God. Mine'd be like, yeah.
Look at the guy
Get some
there.
bloodlines.
How do you not? Like,
By the
you
way,
got-
we also saw 12 seconds and we saw 2 seconds of their reaction.
Right. That's hilarious.
You see the gay cameraman go, oh my God.
Who's the guy next to her?
That's probably the guy that
That's the officiant.
officiated.
He's the one who's getting.
Is he the moose wrangler?
Show stolen.
That guy ain't gonna wrangle a moose.
No.
We had a bear at our campsite when we were camping in Ojai. It was about from here to the wall.
Seriously?
Yeah. So I'm like sleeping. I got my son on one side, my daughter on one side, and then I hear the people at the campsite next to us going, "Go!" You know, you're supposed to yell at a bear and make loud noise, right? So the bear leaves their campsite, comes over to ours, and I like wake up from them yelling, and I open the window to my tent, and the bear's right there.
Like a brown bear, black bear?
It's
What are
a.
you talking about it?
I think it's a black bear. Probably. They're
Good size.
It was a good size, yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy who runs the campsite had told us about the bear ahead of time. He's like, every now and then, if you leave the food, he's just gonna come in. It's not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
So I'm just like, hey, get out of here. My son wakes up, he's like, what's going on? I go, dude, look at the bear. I got the flashlight. Bear looks at us and just slumbers away. Just goes to the next
It's
site.
scary, though.
I loved
Dude,
it.
I'm in Wyoming camping. Big Whiskey Mountain. Grizzlies everywhere.
Grizzlies.
Now people are like, there are no grizzlies here? Nah, they're over there.
In Montana, they're everywhere.
There's grizzlies
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah.
Grizzly here. Grizzly here, okay? Not over there. Saw grizzly tracks. And so my girl and I are sleeping in the tent. She has her period. And she goes,
Bro.
I have never seen a human being more afraid. She was like, I'm bleeding. Oh my God. Because grizzlies smell that and they come and kill you. And I've never seen
Is
anybody
that
scared.
science?
I want to look this up because I want
I
So then check it out.
I'm not
So-
gonna doubt
so
that
now I got
ever.
her in my arms like this. I'm 20.
But you doubted Elon. in
I'm
it.
22, and I'm sitting there, and I go, the only way I'm going to get her to calm down is I go, that's a myth. Who told you
That's
that?
what I tell her.
But I knew it was true. I go, there's period blood,
There was no
However,
evidence that
however,
bears
there's
are
no
overly
evidence-
attracted to dimensional odors more than
I mean,
any other odor.
you have-
but there is
you
no
have-
statistical evidence that known bear attacks are related to
There's no evidence.
So I'm telling her, I go,
Better
that's
chance if you
such a
farted.
myth. I go, that's such a myth. That's such
You rip a
bullshit.
big fart.
I go, if anything, yeah, I go, if anything, it repels them because they can smell human. She goes, how do you know? I go, because I read it. I'm into this stuff. I'm the one who knows about animals, and I had to.
I can't believe that worked.
Meanwhile, I
It
was like
repels
this.
humans.
I was like,
She's like, blood does.
I was terrified.
Hell yeah. Even though it's all complete bullshit.
I went to my buddy's tent. I go, I need to borrow your gun. He goes, you're not borrowing my gun. I'm holding on to it.
Yeah.
If you scream, I'll shoot it. I go, fuck you.
You're gonna miss and go through me, bro. I gotta get a new tent today for this weekend. I want to get I want a big one. I want like
Yeah,
a
big
5 to
boy.
6 person
Yeah,
tent.
like
want
a
a
small
big tent?
condo.
Yeah, I want a
Yeah.
big tent.
There's
so
some
have
cool tents
space.
now.
You know?
Fuck tents. I spent 13 hours in a tent when I was fucking doing Meat Eater because there were gale force winds.
No, there's real tents though. B.
I'm in
Like now
Alaska.
the tent industry is way different.
Yeah, I was in a good tent. I'm in Alaska in a fucking tent, still small.
Yeah, the
right?
ground's tough.
Yeah.
It's still made of like, it's gale force winds. I don't know how to do anything with a tent. They're like fucking
Brian's
putting
not
it
made
in
for
this
that
thing.
life.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, even Rogan. We were
I was
both
like, do we have any caviar? They're like, what?
I hear Rogan in the tent next to me. I can hear it's cold as fuck. Like, oh, fuck.
Shaking.
Everybody's wet.
His big lips
Yeah, he's like,
flapping.
like that. And he goes, I just hear him go. You can just hear him putting gear on. I was wet. Fucking wet. Oh, shit. And he goes, hunting blows.
Do you hunt too or just camp?
No, I've never hunted.
Me neither.
No.
Only camp.
But I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. You know, I love the idea of it. That's why one of my favorite scenes in the history of movies is in Deer Hunter. That scene when he's just got one bullet and he's chasing it, like tracking him and truly hunting, and like me against you is like the raddest thing of all time.
I wonder if they really killed that deer.
For the movie?
Because I'm almost sure they did. That looked like a real shot of a deer. Can you look that up, Chin? I'm almost sure.
I mean, it wouldn't be inhumane. You can deer hunt,
it was the
especially.
first time I saw a deer actually get shot on camera, I remember I was like, oh, okay.
No, I haven't ever gotten into that. You know, I was raised by a single dad. I mean, single mom. You know, like there was no. She's not hunting. We started camping through Boy Scouts. Yeah.
Where was your dad? He just never.
He was just the town over, bro.
He was?
Yeah.
And did you have any idea growing up? He's just
so he bounced when I was young, and we'd see him up until I was like 10, and then we just never saw him.
Being a dad, it's unthinkable. Can you imagine just dipping out on your kid right now?
Oh, fuck. No, bro. But I will say, there are some circumstances when you look at like how hard it can be. You talk about people commit suicide. People commit suicide over finance. You could easily just be like, well, fuck, you know, like my mom and dad did not have a good relationship, and there was constant battle over money from him to us. You know what I mean? There could just get to a point where he's like, it's just too much. And I also know, as a single dad who has a full-time job, my amount of time that I have, I mean, I have my kids 50% of the time. I would take them 100% if I could. But you start to look at how much time you have in your life. He might have just been like, you know, who knows? You know, I'm never going to...
Or it could have been so talked between you or your mom and him. He's like, this isn't gonna be good if I'm here.
Still
like I'm doing my kids.
I don't think that's what he was thinking.
I was trying to help you.
Yeah, but I feel you. There might be those circumstances.
Do you know him now?
He's dead. I mean, I saw him when I was 36, and then he passed when I was like.
Did you have a conversation with him?
When I was 36?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started emailing him when I was 24, and then we would email for years, and then finally at 36, he like asked to see me, and I went spent like 8 hours with him and had like a really cool day. He gave me shit.
Really?
And so I have stuff in my house from him, and then like we emailed after that, and then like when I had my son, he was talking about like maybe I'll just like come to LA and like I could just be near you and shit like that.
Did you forgive him?
I did.
That's
he didn't
important,
ask
right?
for it. I made that decision.
It's important,
on my own.
right?
I think it was just like I started looking at it and just being like, you know, you can't ask anyone to be perfect. And if we're truly going to live in a world where people deserve second chances, I have to like give him the second chance. His name was Norman, and I tell my kids, I'm like, well, Normie, you know, like that would have been your other grandfather, you know, and they're like, they know my story with my dad, and they're always just like, I never forget one time my daughter was like bummed out about living in 2 houses, and she was talking to me about it, and we were talking about it, and she was a little upset, and I'm like, yeah, buddy, I go, I bet that's tough for you to have 2 houses. I go, I don't know what that was like. You know, I never had 2 houses. I had 1 house, and I never really saw my dad, and she was like upset, and she just goes, oh, that must have been so hard for you.
Oh, good kid.
And I was just like, wow. It was amazing that she could like have that realization.
That's also a way of saying I love you, Dad.
Well, she has no problem just saying I love you, but
that's great.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's so strange, man. I wonder. I guess he had his own demons. He had
his own things going on.
And as an adult, you can sit back and be like, I wonder what he was dealing with. I mean,
I knew a little bit because he would tell him like about his relationship with his dad. His dad, by the way, was a physicist. You know, we were talking about that earlier.
Oh, smart guy.
At Harvard, and sophomore year got pulled out and worked on the atom bomb in Los Alamos.
Oh wow!
Under Oppenheimer, yeah.
Wow.
I have Polaroids of the first atom bomb, like the men holding it. Yeah, crazy stuff. Fuck. So
check out the big brain on Brad. Jesus.
I know, right? Guy. Yeah, he was a smart dude, and he came back from that and was like, I'm done, and became a baker. Like his father or grandfather was a baker. Yeah, a lot of math and bacon, bro.
Then was your dad banker too, or no?
My dad was a musician. My dad and my mom were both musicians in college. That's how they met. And then he got out. They had a baby. They had a baby like in college, and then they had 3 more like quickly. And so he was teaching trumpet. You know, he's a music teacher.
Making bang.
And he wanted banging with it.
Dude,
but
trumpet.
he wanted to be. he wanted to be an antique dealer. Like, he loved antiques. And
What,
then,
what an eccentric man.
Like
Yeah.
antique, like
What a
trumpets,
terrible
didn't like
father.
money
Didn't-
taking those professions.
Yeah.
he ended. My
Passion.
grandfather did really well.
Oh, I bet.
We didn't see
Fuck
any of
yeah,
that
he did.
shit.
So he was a rich kid.
He wasn't really like, I think my mom thought he was a rich kid. My grandfather was smart with his money and exposed him to a lot of stuff. Like, my grandfather was the kind of guy that would like go to watch like the symphony or jazz and then would wait in the alley by the musician's entrance. And when they came out, was like, let me take you to drinks, because he just wanted to be around.
That's cool.
So, yeah. And then, so my dad worked at the bakery, never wanted it. And then just was an antique dealer the rest of his life.
So he was, that's so interesting.
Like, he knew a lot about
was he a
silver
hippie?
coins. Yeah, a little bit. He was super into like, we both are like this. It was crazy because when you start emailing someone that you never knew,
Yeah.
and then you realize he writes the way you do, he talked the way,
Yeah,
like, we're
that's
both
cool.
transcendentalists. I consider myself a transcendentalist, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the way he would write. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like, he loved Emerson. I loved Emerson. It was
He missed,
crazy.
Emerson's awesome.
Yeah.
He missed out on you.
He missed out
missed
big
out
time.
on
I feel bad for him, to be honest.
It's
I
his
bet he
loss.
felt
That's his
bad.
He
loss.
missed out on me. I had 2 great sisters, a great brother.
Did
like,
you ever see her stand up? How
grandkids.
good you are at stand up?
you know what's crazy? So when he died, I was doing the Today Show in New York, right? And I got the call from my brother, who never calls me. My brother just, I'm not joking.
You don't have a relationship, or he's
We
just
do.
not the guy
He
that
just,
calls?
he doesn't call. He just doesn't talk
I
on the
get it.
phone. He doesn't FaceTime. And he called, and I picked up the phone. I go, who died? And he goes, Dad. And I was like, oh shit, because he knew that I like kept in touch. Anyway, I left New York, went to Mass, called my aunt, or had someone else call my aunt to see if I could get in touch with his wife, my dad's wife, and I went through his art studio, and then I went to his apartment. And
That must have been weird.
you ready? Printed out on the printer was
Tickets?
the not tickets, but the website from like Mohegan Sun. I was doing Mohegan Sun, Connecticut, and that was printed out.
And he was going to go.
I don't know if he was gonna go, but he saw it. Like, I remember,
Make an
like,
attempt.
you know.
Yeah, man, it's close.
So like, I found like old emails from him, like, where I printed them all out, where he talks about like telling people around the antique store about me. So like, he just was dealing with. When I went to his apartment, I was just like, holy shit.
That must have been
This guy
insane.
hated himself.
Yeah.
Hated himself.
Yeah.
It was just like living in squalor.
You
My
wonder
aunt
if-
was even telling me, she's like, you might not want to go. It's like really sad. And I was like, no, I want to go. And it was.
Maybe he had mental,
Did you cry?
might have
Did you
mental
cry?
problems.
When you found out he died?
Oh yeah.
When your brother
Well,
called?
my brother called and I didn't cry, and I was like, he's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And it was like, you guys are married, and my wife, even though we're divorced, is like a very special person to me, and she was even more special to me then. She still will always be, like, after my 2 kids, she's the next most
Yeah,
important
that's
person in
right.
my life,
That's
And as soon as I called her, she picked the phone. I just bawled.
Yeah,
and she was just
yeah.
like, what is going on? And she just sat there, and then I was able to get it out. But like, it wasn't real till I could tell her almost,
You cry for the father you didn't have in a way, right?
Yeah, you cry for a lot of it. Well, it's
Yeah.
it's still like, it's like you're saying, you're just connected, biologically
what.
and
Sure.
emotionally to that person. You know what I mean?
But you probably wouldn't have been a comic or any of that stuff maybe without a dad, right? Or it
Oh
changed
yeah, I
who
mean,
you are.
this is the thing that people just don't get about comedians. There are some comedians. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a comedian, and I'm fucked up, and I know he's fucked up, and I'm like, yeah, there's certain people like that are the anomaly. And I brought up a comedian who just aren't fucked up, and he goes, bro, I've been on the road with him. He is crazy.
Yes.
I go, really? And he goes, beyond anyone I've ever. He goes, I've been on the road with him and said to myself, oh, I'm normal. And I was like, no way.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there is not one. And this is
We're all misfits. We're all misfits, bro.
it's the crazy thing about comedy is that people want us to be comedians, despite what we had to go through to get to that point. And then there are comedians now that are working that we're watching them. We are watching some comedians. They're like, oh, they're going to be dead soon.
Yeah.
And you just go to their show and they're killing and everyone loves them. And their agents and their managers are rooting them on. Go, go, go. And we're all watching them die.
Yeah.
We're going to watch them
Yeah,
die.
it's a train wreck. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, but in a way, thank God, because they're hilarious. I mean, I don't know. Is there any other way to be?
There is a way to there is that hey, if we got to lose 1,000 men to save 100,000, so if we got to lose one comedian to bring joy to millions.
Well, it's a weird
That
job
poor
we
guy.
have. We're all.
It's the weirdest, craziest
Yeah.
thing in the world, bro.
And I don't know if you can be funny without being a fuck up and
Well, you have to be able to just stare. I followed a comedian the other day at the store, and I was just like, they crushed so hard, and I was so impressed that
Who was it?
Ali Wong.
Oh yeah, she's a monster.
And it was just so real and so truthful. I'm like,
she's on fire.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what do I do here? What do I do? Because we're in like similar situations. We're both divorced, and she's talking about, but she's talking about it in a way that I can't talk about. And I'm like, I had to like leave the room. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, I was just like so entranced in watching. It was so good. And then I was like, all right, let me just like try to roll off of what she was talking about, and I rolled it into my own way, and it allowed me the space to talk in a way that I've never allowed myself to talk before.
Cool.
And I was like, I hit her up after. I'm like, yo, you were so amazing today. I go, thank you so much. Like, you inspired me.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
And it was.
You see her show? Her show's good.
Her movie,
everyone's
Beef.
saying it's
Beef. It's
beef.
a movie, yeah.
Beef, yeah.
Is it a movie?
No, it's a series. I just
Yeah,
finished it too.
I heard it's amazing. I haven't had a chance
people
to
love
check it out.
People absolutely love it.
She's so crazy
crushing
talented,
it,
bro.
yeah.
So talented. But she says stuff. So then I would say some stuff, and people are like, oh, and I go, see how different it sounds coming out of my mouth versus coming out of Allie's?
Yeah.
Like, you know, when a short Asian woman is saying shit about
She's telling the truth.
oral, you know what I mean? You're like, oh shit. And then if I were to say that, a straight white, it's just a
Disaster.
completely
Yeah.
different thing. And
Flavor.
it was amazing to see it and be able to comment on it in real time.
Yeah.
Like, because we just watched it. We all watched it together. It was pretty cool.
cool.
That's a great thing. I mean, I think like comedy clubs are like the last frontier of like a place where you can all go, and especially when you're in like a showcase environment like that, because you can go off of one POV to another, back to another. And, you know, when we're talking about freedom of speech, like that's like where it just like lives.
Yeah, it should.
You know?
be. Yeah. So they can see your new special on YouTube. It drops what, April? You say 19th?
April 19th. Yeah. Jay Larson comedy.
April 19th, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Larson.
We appreciate you, Jay.
Yeah, I appreciate you
You're
guys.
the best, man.
That was awesome.
Thanks.
That's it, kids. B, you got something coming up soon?
Helium, April 20th, 21, 22. I think the first shows on all of them are sold out, and I think Thursday might be as well, but there are still tickets left for Saturday and Friday.
Is that you?
You know what?
That's from
That's a lot of
1994.
Photoshop.
Who the fuck is
That's
that?
a lot of Photoshop.
Is that Chat
And that's not you down here. Is that
that's
Mike
ChatGPT.
Birbiglia dropped a bunch of weight down there at Stress Factory?
Birbiglia, yeah. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Comedy Zone, May 4th to the 6th. Stress Factory, May 11th to the 13th.
All right, kids. Love you. Jay, thank you, man.
You got it,
Go
boy.
watch your
Thanks.
special.
Awesome.